Yo.
Hope you're amazing. I was going to say Dan here, but I won't say Dan here. I'll say I'm Dan.
Jake here.
Here, Joe.
Hello. Hope you are all wonderful and brilliant and having the best day. Thank you all for what's the word I'm looking for? I couldn't do yesterday. Things got out of hand.
You did.
And so we pushed it forward today. So thank you all for, I don't know, placating me.
Hopping along.
All that stuff.
Happy Thanksgiving as well to
all our dear friends in America. Hope you're incredible.
eating nice big roasts and prepared for Black Friday chaos tomorrow.
We did a went out to went out to Carvery last night, right? Because every now and then they do like a voucher.
Yeah,
so we go down for like a cheap Carvery.
Yeah, it's like a $5 for a Carvery.
It's brilliant, and it's like Zach and I. It's a bet to see who can eat the most.
Nice.
But there are some professional eaters down there, you know, and it's really
intense.
Yeah.
Boy,
And they
oh
always
boy.
ask if you want a pudding.
Yeah, and if you can have a pudding at a Carvery, you've done it
where
wrong.
all the money is. Because they've got to try and make up for the cash they've lost.
Here's a cheesecake, 28 quid. Lizzie, I think we've already gone off on a
I know, I was
haven't we?
about to cut it and then it did it
Yeah.
itself.
Fabulous. So, Lizzie, who do we have on?
We have 37 people with us already at the moment, so that's
Amazing.
lovely.
Hello, everyone.
We've got Simon V and we've got Michael Giliberto.
Oh, lovely.
Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. Nice time for gear chat. Hope everyone is well. Andrew Jones saying it's a cold one in Derbyshire today.
Yeah, it is cold, isn't it, Lizzie?
It's very chilly.
That we've made Lizzie turn her heater off because it goes like
Furious.
otherwise she's gutted.
Great here.
We've got Thomas Welch, Todd Roy. Yes, lots of people.
Beautiful.
Hello.
Colin
Beautiful.
Diamond.
Greetings.
For some reason, I can't see the chat.
Oh, Dan, your eyes are closed.
Working on it.
Buddy.
We've
Boy,
got
oh
Kay
boy.
Cole from Northern Nova Scotia.
Cake hole.
Cool.
And Scott
Lovely.
Curry from Boston, prepping Thanksgiving dinner during this.
Oh, cute.
Nice.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
we come?
I know, I'd like
I could
that.
do with a hearty roast.
We have a Christmas tree up. Check it out.
Look at that.
I know.
I just thought we hadn't dusted.
It's been there all year.
Yeah.
We just take down the blanket that covers it. Fabulous. Okay, so a couple of things we want to chat about. There's been lots of pedal launches as normal. We are going to have a talk about clones. It's an interesting thing. It's funny. I there's another YouTuber who as I was walking out this morning, I was going through some stuff, and I saw another YouTuber had put basically exactly the same thumbnail
Oh, really?
as we'd done, saying, "Have Behringer gone too far?" And it's like, okay, but it does show that it's a lot of people are talking about
discussion
this.
topic,
and
yeah,
it's,
for sure.
Yeah.
it's very interesting. Okay, so let's start with a very dear friend of ours, Lee Kiernan,
Yeah.
What a legend.
The boy.
the boy.
The boy.
So Lee is one of the guitar players in Idols, my favourite band of the last couple of years. Certainly my favourite live band. One of the best live bands I've ever seen. Easy.
I'm not entirely sure I've actually got around to seeing them
No,
yet.
I don't think I've seen them.
Have we seen them
I
together?
don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've seen them yet.
Gentlemen.
They're
There
dead.
goes your Christmas bonus.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've seen them 10 times.
Yeah, I've seen
No.
20.
Okay, so we need to rectify that.
Yeah, we do.
I've never seen anything like it,
Yeah.
like ever. So
I am intrigued
So
because Gav, their backline tech, that I feel like no matter what he's paid, he is not paid enough. I think once a week we get a message with like, oh, someone's bought another one of these synths, another one of these, and it's
Yeah.
constantly expanding. And he'll FaceTime us from their rehearsal room and be like, right, I need to add 6 Nords into this setup. Why? Because in one song he's just holding that guy. All right, fine.
But I've
Yeah.
got so much respect for those guys and what they do. They keep everything real. Like all of the sampling and all that sort of stuff is done live on stage.
Yeah,
while
yeah.
they're playing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's cool as hell.
It is, and the whole night, everything's on the edge,
Yeah.
and it's like that's where they live.
Yeah.
And it's far out. It's
They're
just astonishing.
wonderful people.
And what kind of pedal are we going to talk about related to them?
This is
Thank you, Lizzie.
Lee's. This is a. Do you guys explain it?
Yes,
So it's
Earthquake.
named after Lizzie.
Yeah. Ironically, one of Lizzie's nicknames was Gary at one point because we just like to change Lizzie's nickname almost every day, and we want Gary will do. So it's homage to Lizzie, but it is a collaboration between Earthquaker Devices and Lee. So one side of it is basically the Grey channel, which is a drive pedal that Earthquaker did a long time ago, and it's been a mainstay on Lee's board. So it's one half of that, and then like a pulse width modulation come square wave craziness on the other side.
That's what I really like about it, is it's like very utilitarian drive,
Yeah.
and then disgusting.
Right.
The world is ending.
But not
Weird.
unusable.
No, not unusable, but it kind of has that like almost PLL thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, it's a square wave with a pulse width, so you can go from nothing.
Yeah.
Because I watched a bunch of demos. You can, it's like envelope control, isn't it?
Yes.
You can set it so that it goes to silence because the square wave shuts off to 0%, and then comes back in, and like a pulse width,
Yeah, yeah.
it sort of comes back and gets thicker as the envelope dies.
Mm-hmm.
Super
so
interesting.
cool.
Super interesting.
For me, it's like the bit of the data corruptor,
Yeah.
Earthquake data corruptor that I loved.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
On a nice,
Yeah.
very small pedalboard
But
friendly.
it's done with a square wave rather than a PLL.
Okay.
Yeah. So cool.
Okay.
Very, very cool.
interesting.
Just got to say, so Hobo Road is in the chat. Hobo Roadie has done something amazing / naughty / amazing.
Kind of insane to
Kind
be
of
honest,
ridiculous.
And
Sorry, my
I've had-
phone was not on
I've-
Do Not Disturb. Sorry, Lizzie.
anyway, I've been trying to contact you, Mr. Hobo Roadie, so please get back to me. But yes, yeah, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Anyway, back to this thing. So
Well, that's Gary.
That's Gary.
And what's awesome, actually, I want to tell you a story quickly about the name of it. So when we had their rigs in, we had both Bowen and Lee and all of their stuff in. It was great. It took up basically all of our workbenches here.
We struggled to put it in.
And there was this prototype. There was this blank enclosure that had a little sticker on it that said Gary, and I asked Lee what it was and what it was about, and basically they'd bought a label printer as a band and they just sticked random stickers
just
on
Lee,
each other's
wasn't it?
stuff.
Lee just-
and Bowen had done it vice versa to each
Yeah.
other because they just thought it was hilarious. And there was this box that was named Gary that one of them went, "Oh, I'll call that Gary," and that name is stuck, and I just think that's brilliant. And I remember as well there was
That's
like
really
Mooga
great.
Fugas that had like a slot machine style cherries and bells on it and stuff, and yeah.
Simon V. DJ says, "That's it, Lizzie. Keep them chaps in check."
Yeah.
There you go. One thing, I know we're 10 minutes in, we're not even past the first pedal yet, but we had Churd on the show at TPS recently talking about wireless systems.
Yes, I did
But
see that, yeah.
inevitably, the subject goes to, because Churd's like one of the best crew guitar techs in the business, and he sees everything. Inevitably, the conversation gets to modeling, because so many guys out of necessity have to use modeling stuff now. And Churd's, so what's the biggest difference that you see as a tech? And Churd says the guys in the modeling rigs don't have as much fun. And because he's saying, if you want to change anything in the spur of the moment, and the pedal guys just do that. It says as soon as you've got to go to menus and stuff. And fascinating, Tim, that amazing LA session guitar player,
I've seen the clip. I know where we're going with this, yeah.
And he brought up the same thing, that in the session, you're doing a session for someone, says you don't have 10 seconds to get to a menu and change stuff. You've got to be on it. But one thing about seeing them live, and when you see this, they're on their stuff all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
It would literally be impossible for those guys to do this gig with modelers.
Yeah.
Literally
Interesting.
impossible.
Yeah. But yeah, because the pedals become instruments in themselves.
Absolutely. And they're playing them like freaking maestros. You know, it's, I can't wait for you guys to see them live. They're just, I've got my thing is like every band I saw before Idols and every band I saw after Idols.
Interesting.
They were seriously.
That's a
Idols,
big-
after Idols.
BI,
Yeah.
AI.
AI. I've heard of that.
So there you go. Right. Number 2,
Blush.
Blush.
It's a really, really cool pedal, to be honest. I've forgotten who the YouTube channel is that made it in.
I can't remember either. I watched the video and it sounds really good.
So it's a
It's a crazy delay. It's a shoegaze delay, basically.
a shoegaze delay.
So
Okay.
it's got you've got all the things.
Yeah.
12-bit. So it's crunchy, and the thing that's interesting about it is that they don't use, like a lot of pedal manufacturers use FV1 chips, like in the Rainbow Machine and the Afterlife and some other pedals
Organizer.
that aren't Earthquaker. But they're actually using chips from the original delays, like rack delays. And
Yeah.
things,
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Love that.
which is creme de la creme.
Yeah.
But you've got like a multi-delay that toes the line between delay and reverb.
Yeah.
You've got a polyphonic pitch shifter
Okay.
that will go from an octave up to an octave down.
Mm-hmm.
You can add that pitch shifter into the feedback of the delay, so you can get octaves that jump up and down, or slight anywhere in between an octave and unity that goes up and down. It's big cascading delay sounds. You've got 3 choruses. You've got basically no chorus, a little bit chorus, loads chorus, and you've got some filters.
Yeah.
It's got everything. It's one of those,
And it's like 4 or 5 faders. It's not
it's
really
3 faders. Yeah.
It's not like it's 50 pots and it's this
Yeah,
big.
okay.
It's super nice and compact.
Is
So
it presets and MIDI and stuff, or it's just
No, it's just
No, it's not.
okay?
it's
That's
just
great.
balls to the wall.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 seconds of delay
Cool.
rather than with like a lot of those vintage delays, it's like minimal
Yeah.
delay
Yeah.
times. You can go up to 6 seconds if you run it in mono.
Right.
And then you've also got like a hold function, so
Okay.
you can hold something.
Yeah.
And then you,
Those a lot of those 12-bit delays had that. The Otto Machine's bin, which I use all the time, is my favorite delay in the world, has got that hold function straight out of the 80s rack delay things.
Yeah, wicked.
Yeah, it's a really cool feature. Okay.
and it's got a sampled rate on it as well, so you can bring it more lo-fi.
Okay, nice. You can change that.
And it's
Crush
like this big.
it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and
And
it's
it's bright pink.
yeah,
Okay.
very cool.
Just really exciting. It's another
Amazing.
one of those pedals that is like kind of a multi-effects pedal without being a multi-effects pedal.
Yeah,
if you know
I
what
like
mean.
that.
It's,
Yeah.
it's just this perfect vibe for shoegaze.
Sure. Okay.
Like if you didn't have much room left on your board, but you wanted some shoegaze on it, the Blush
Yeah.
is the pedal.
Ticks all
Awesome.
boxes.
Okay, great. Couple of people getting into it in the section,
Yeah.
in the comment section.
As in fighting each other, getting
No,
into
no,
it.
no. No, it's lovely. Pivotal Pedalboard says, "Hey guys, sounding great as usual. Cheers from Toronto. Thanks for
Hey,
joining
hey,
us, mate.
dude.
Great
Hey,
to see you." We got a couple of questions here. I want to get into. So someone's saying, "Dog ate my homework." Says, "Was it Dog ate my homework? Where is it? Where's it gone? Oh, it keeps jumping around."
The dog
Someone
eat your
said,
homework.
would the solution be to have? Oh, sorry. Joy Buzzer says, "Is the solution to have a preset for every single song?" The thing is, it's not. There are so many sounds within every single song, and those sounds are constantly manipulated
That's
in
the
every
key.
song. They are on that stuff all the time, and yes, they have their riffs and stuff, and they're sort of. Oh, it's such an interesting band, and they'll use like some atonal stuff, and then they'll go into these like crazy riffs, and then they'll sample those riffs and play them back through stuff. And Bowen has got inputs from the keys, from the singer, from the drummer, everything, and then he'll sample stuff live and bash it through his amps, and then it's really incredible. So it's not sounds as such. It's not just presets that you can hit a button. It is live manipulation of these things that you try and do that in a menu. It's just he's got to have the
tactile
stuff. It's really, really, really great. Dog Ate My Homework says, if Strymon made a modeler, I'm in. They do, don't they?
The Iridium.
The Iridium.
The Iridium, yeah.
There you go. There's your modeler.
There's your modeler.
You're in.
You're in.
You're in, buddy.
Shock news, my man.
Now, we also had a question that I think... massive thanks to BV who's in the chat.
Oh, hey, BV.
Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate it. BV reminded me of this question that came in yesterday that you had a look at.
Yeah, so someone was basically asking if they have a wet, dry, wet setup.
Yep, so wet, dry, wet. So dry in the center, stereo, things on the outside.
If they could... sorry, I did a freeze frame there.
You're buffering.
Yeah. Joe needs to reload. If you could basically get those stereo effects and sum them so that you could only use so you could basically have a dry, wet setup. So that is potentially slightly more complicated, because if you're running a wet, dry, wet setup, the argument is you've probably got a humdinger for your dry. So you'd still run your dry effect from that humdinger.
Yep.
But if you go into the parallel functionality within G3, you can split the signal right before the stereo pedals, and then join the stereo signal chain back together with the join function, and then it will send out of one amp.
Yes, it also depends on if you're running the signal, if you're doing traditional wet, dry, wet, or TPS wet, dry, wet. But if you're doing a fully parallel wet, dry, wet, and then you can still do it, you just send them to you split the A, B, C, and D, and instead of going left, right, or 1, 2, you send them all to 1.
Yeah.
And that will sum them all. So it can be done, and it can be done whether you're using the stereo effects in series or parallel. But, if you have the facility to use wet, dry, wet, what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a wet, dry, wet rig. I'm going to buy another Princeton and have 2 Princetons as my left and right, and probably an AC15 or the AC10
in the center
as the dry rig. I reckon I could load that whole thing and my board and the guitars and everything in one trip with a trolley. But I was playing the wet, dry, wet thing. We did a show. Lee Anderson came down.
I saw that on Instagram, yeah.
And we were messing around with the new Victory amp. So Lee came down with Martin Kidd.
Amazing.
Cool, man.
And we just had an amazing chat. Did you know, spoiler, because of everyone watching, you heard it here, Victory, the launch, Mick called me. This is before TPS, before anything. Mick was a mate, and Mick was working on doing the TPS launch, and he called me to make the rig for Guthrie, because Guthrie needed to switch
I remember you doing that
right,
rig,
right.
with multiple Victory amps from G2.
Yeah. No, it wasn't G2.
I thought it was G2.
It was a separate thing I had to make for him, because he had his pedals, some pedals in the front, some pedals in the loop, and I needed to switch between 5 amplifiers, switch the effects loop and the preamps of 5 amplifiers.
I remember you making it, yeah.
So I just made this custom thing for that one night. But that was the first night that I saw a video that Mick had made.
Oh, really?
And the first night I met Catherine, his wife, who is a core part of the TPS thing. And without doing that and that link through Victory, I don't know if TPS will exist.
Yeah, that's wild.
That is wild.
That is
amazing?
actually wild, yeah. Blush Response is the YouTube channel.
Blush Response. Okay, very good. Very
Sorry,
good.
Blush Response.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was
Yeah,
that
that's
was amazing.
wholesome.
Yeah.
Lizzie, did you think that was amazing?
Mind blown.
There you go.
He had another question.
And so the other question.
So the question was, could you do all that into one amp? And with a new software, you can.
You can.
You've got a dry feed as part of Parallel Tiles 4.
Man, I got the board together to do a video because we're talking about the parallel thing on the show and looking at, do you know the producer Andy, guy that did all the Jeff Buckley stuff, Andy Wallace? Amazing producer.
Right.
But one of the keys to Jeff's sound on that is three reverbs in parallel.
Oh, is it
Right,
really?
wow.
And he's going through and it's on the desk and he does these things in. So I had it all set up and I had 3 stereo reverbs. I had a plate, a real spring, and this one of the LVX,
Okay.
Oh, amazing. Yeah,
the
sure.
Mercury X
Yeah,
thing. And I'm with G3, I'm kicking them all in one at a time on top of each other with the dry.
Yeah.
And I start off with just the dry feed and then kill dry center amps, just the stereo reverbs, and then I kick a stereo delay in parallel with the reverbs on top of that. And it was like, it was perfect.
Yeah,
That's
that's
so
so
cool.
It was
cool, man.
absolutely perfect. Just hearing the different, and then I did it in series, and you could just hear the mess of the delays and reverbs just going into each other,
Yeah.
and then hearing them stacked on top of each other in parallel. Far out, man. So I'm all fizzy about the proper wet dry wet thing at the moment.
Busy.
Yeah, very fizzy. Okay,
Carbonated.
right.
And what's the next pedal?
Sorry, Lizzie, we do you have some questions here, Lizzie?
No, we do.
So bossy.
I'm getting nervous. It was 22 minutes in, people.
Okay, sorry, this is right. And well, I just want to quickly. AS says, Dan, do you prefer brass or steel saddles on your tellies? I just installed some brass saddles on my telly and couldn't believe the difference it made. It's really opened up the sound and dynamics. It's different on every guitar. Some, like Red, absolutely needed titanium.
Yeah, that's what you've always said to me, recommended to me, titanium.
Yeah, and I love titanium saddles. I think they're great, but it depends on the guitar. On my 52 Blackguard telly, they're brass, and if you put anything else in that guitar, it just does not sound like a Blackguard.
Sure.
So
Contextual.
yeah, absolutely. But
Like most things.
yeah. But I think the best sounding ones for me have always been the threaded steel saddles,
Okay, interesting.
but I break strings on them.
yeah.
Like every song. So yeah, the titanium works for me. Okay. I want to talk quickly about the Halo core.
Halo Core.
Keeley has dropped.
So I played a lot of Halo video games when I was a kid. I'd read Halo and yeah.
So Keeley have dropped a limited run of these. This is the limited feature set from the Keeley Halo, the pedal done in conjunction with my dear friend Andy Timmons, and it just has that one sound in there, like Andy's sound,
Yeah.
and it's a great thing.
It looks like aesthetically to me like a piece of studio gear with these like massive knobs
Yeah.
that you.
Like the Baker like.
Yeah, exactly.
They use those enclosures to do the Beach Boys thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to the Palo thing. So anyway, massive kudos to Mr. Robert Keeley and Mr. Andy Timmons.
Joe, you've had a customer in today that's actually doing an Andy Timmons inspired rig.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's cool.
You know,
Very cool.
have you guys seen Andy play live?
No.
Oh man. If you ever get the chance to see Andy Timmons play live and you have any interest in music at all, you simply have to go. It is the most amazing thing because he uses use of dynamics, and you know it's loud, but the beautiful thing about the way Andy plays, and when he plays with volume, you're stood in front of him doing his thing and you're no longer listening to it. You're just actively involved in the experience. with everyone around you. It's astonishing.
Mate, next year is going to be big.
It's going to be awesome.
Got Idols, we've got to see Andy Timmons, and we're going to Tokyo.
3 things that we've got on already.
Okay, another pedal that was launched this week, and this
You're really excited for
dovetails.
this.
You're
You've
so
already-
stoked about this.
You've
You're
already
so
ordered
ready.
one.
Well,
Well,
let's chat, shall we? This is the Behringer Centaur.
Mm-hmm.
So Lizzie, you got that up?
I have.
Right.
I am a little bit obsessed with the enclosure.
Yeah.
I love that it's got the grooves and the bumps,
Okay.
but on a small scale.
Right. Sorry, BV's just corrected me in real time. How great is that? Dan, it's not a limited version to the Halo call with the addition of the dotted 8 via the toggle. Thank you.
Correction
buddy.
section.
There we go.
Correction section.
There you go.
There was actually, sorry, something else to talk about.
Correction section.
There was something last week that we debated if it had analog drive-through or not, and it does have analog drive-through. Does anyone remember what it was? The manufacturer
it was a
commented on
pedal.
the video.
It was a pedal.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
no, that was, yeah.
So I just want to add that to the correction section.
And he actually said he was watching a TPS video and he was designing it.
I'm gonna find who it
Okay.
was. Continue
Bless him.
with your
Okay,
thing.
right, here we go. The
Dan's new
Behringer
favourite pedal.
Centaur. And a couple of different angles there. This image that's on their website looks like a rendering from Photoshop or something, but basically that's what it is. And it did make me think.
Matthew Effects.
Matthew Effects.
Oh,
that's the
sure.
one. Yeah.
It does have analog
There you go.
drive-through.
Gav
yeah.
Thorpe says Matthew Effects. Thank you, buddy.
Big up
Thanks.
Matthew Effects.
Our Gav.
Okay, Scott Curry says the Wampler Catacomb. The Wampler Catacomb does not
That does not.
have
Scott.
have
Access
and-
denied.
Yep.
Great Scott.
Correction section. Correction section. So the Catacomb does not. Is heartbreaking, but does not have analog drive-through. Anyway, but we're still working a wet dry wet thing if Tri-Central.
Yeah, baby.
Anyway,
Right, clone clones.
Right. I saw
clones.
this and I immediately felt uncomfortable until I realised how big it was. If you have a look at the foot switch in that picture,
Yes.
so Lizzie, if we go back to that picture, if we have a look at the foot switch in that picture, this would denote that the actual size of the pedal is quite small. And look at the knobs and stuff. It just
Yeah.
tells you
Yeah.
it's a shrunken clon,
Yeah.
right?
Shriveled.
Let's go with
Like a
shrunken.
raisin.
So I've been swimming. So now, a lot of people are saying, have Behringer gone too far? What we could argue about the graphic, that spectacular graphic. Don't know what his hands are doing,
Yeah.
but you know, you've got the graphic, and obviously, you know, there is no creativity gone into the design of it, but there is an inventive step in that pedal where they've gone, what we'll do is we'll do a very similar enclosure, but we're going to shrink
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that personally. I think that's cool.
That's cool. Now, if we then go to the next image, Lizzie, which is number 8, and this is the Warm Audio Centaur. Right?
Yeah. Which is like the big box
So-
shape, right? It's like
Yeah.
a 1-to-1 to the.
Yeah. But it's slightly smaller, right?
So,
Again?
the Warm Audio Centaur. No, I think I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure
I thought it looked a little
that-
bit smaller than the original.
it might be. If it is, it's only ever so slightly. Now,
Sure.
so Behringer aren't the first to use that
For
shape.
sure.
One of the reasons that the clone stopped being made was that the designer, and please forgive me, his name's eluding me for the moment, Bill Finnegan,
Bill Finnegan.
was that the case, the enclosure, was sand cast.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Which is a really tricky thing to do, but Bill is an artist. Is like, if I can't do the enclosures
Yeah, then
because
I'm not gonna
then I'm
do
not
it.
doing the pedal,
Yeah.
right? And the enclosures are just beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
You know, it's such an iconic thing with that pedal. Now, you know, Bill then comes out with the newer version of the Klon,
Yeah.
the
KTR.
red, the KTR. So when we look at the warm audio one, it's a much closer clone,
Yeah.
right? Now, if we have a look at 9, Lizzie, and this is another warm audio clone. This is the CE1, their CE1 clone. But it's really interesting because in this version from warm audio, they've actually separated the speed and depth apart from the original CE1, which we have just over there. Joe, if you'd be so kind. Okay, so man alive.
It's
Right.
really big.
I know.
I tell you what, actually, for the sake
So-
of this conversation, keep talking. I'm going to grab something else.
All right, so
Sorry.
this is an original CE1, and we can see that there are 2 sections to the pedal. There's a vibrato and the chorus, which is toggled here, and an on-off. Here is a vibrato. Vibrato, you have depth and rate, but the chorus side only has one knob, and it's a classic part of the CE1 sound. Now, in the warm audio version, they've separated the depth and the rate.
Right.
That is an inventive step, which I am wholeheartedly down with,
Yeah.
right?
It's improving on the design, right? That is not mine. That is a customer's that I have it at the moment called Patrick.
Okay, so this is the same version as Mix. I mean, look at that. It is beautiful.
I always thought they were very like Art Deco.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
right, man.
Yeah, completely. But it's important to remember, as beautiful it is, it wouldn't be as famous as it is if it didn't sound the way it sounds.
Of course, of course.
It's you know, it's just such a killer thing. Okay, so here's my question. Do we think my standpoint is that cloning, there's 2 elements to it that make it tricky. One, if you can still buy the original,
Yeah.
and 2, there's no inventive step. So again, if we go to number 10, Lizzie, which is the Behringer fuzz bender, you know, this is an amazing tone bender fuzz that you can buy for like $50.
50 quid.
But look at the switch on it. You've got an original and a mod
Yeah.
switch. Okay, I'm totally fine with that. Is it? But the other thing is, you're trading on the name and the iconic image
Sure.
built up on
Yeah,
that
of
thing,
course.
right? But okay, here's another one though, and let's have a look at this. This is the 68 pedals King clone. So this is number 11, which is just a direct rip-off of the King of Tone. I have a much harder time with pedals like this, because obviously you can still get a King of Tone. You do need to wait a long time for them, so that's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but it just, for me, there has to be an inventive step. So I've received a couple of messages this week. I've been working with Matt from Monty's on doing a pickup set for Red, right? For 18 months.
I remember you talking about it being like quite into the project around Christmas due last year.
Yeah.
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 And it's been you know, a really big deal. Now, you can, the pickups that are in Red, it is the original pickup for the 63 Fender Custom Shop bridge pickup that's in there.
Yeah.
And the neck pickups in there is made by an amazing pickup builder in America called Don Mayer.
Oh, right.
And that pickup That's what I got, and I got that at least 16 years ago. But what we've done with Monty's, and now I have hammered that guitar for, with that pickup in it for 16 years.
Yeah.
As it is, there's done over 1,000 gigs, and those, they've just been. So what we've done is we have analysed where those pickups are in their lives now.
Right.
We've measured the magnet strength, then the pickups are aged to look exactly like Reds. They are just the detail that we've gone into.
Isn't there like a specific pot value? I was telling you about it on the loom.
We could only get, so there was the loom sold out really quickly because we could only get 30 because there was a specific pot that was like 300k plus, and it was, we could only, CTS had 30 left over from the Graham Coxon telly build.
Oh, right.
And they're the last ones, and I'll never make them again.
Wow.
And also because I bypassed the tone stack and pot, the tone pot in Red for the neck pickup.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
And Matt had used the same wire that I did to do it, like the
amazing.
And so the idea with that set though is you absolutely can go and buy the same pickups that I did, but the pickups that we've done and where those pickups are at in their life now.
Sure, yeah. I see,
Sure,
yeah, I
it's
see
a
what you're saying,
recreation of those now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an inventive step there.
Yeah.
And what we did as part of the process is we got really deep into the setup, all that stuff to really understand why Red sounds the way it does. And so that's part of that process. Yeah. It's not just the thing of sticking a pickup in.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm okay. I said, how do you guys feel about the clones things?
So your point of view is that it's fine to clone things as long as there's been something to make it original, whatever that is, whether it's changing values.
I think there needs to be some sort of inventive step.
Sure.
Or reissuing stuff that you can no longer get.
Yes. It's really tricky, man.
It is really tricky
it's
because
really hard.
Our industry is built on clones, modified clones. So many things are direct descendants of one another.
Yep.
So that's where I think the grey, for me, it's a bit grey.
Yeah,
it is grey. There's a great video by Henning Pauly done a few years ago where he had a go at the people doing the, what do you call it, the sampling of the amps with modelers.
Oh, right, okay.
Going, you're calling it Marshall. You're taking that thing that Marshall has spent a lifetime getting those sounds. You're going, okay, I've got that now, and I'm sticking a little box, and here you go. There's no easy answers to this, but it is difficult. A conversation.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately the market will dictate, but it is tricky when, like the Behringer fuzz pedal, you can, by being able to get that for $50, and it's a great way in and to trying that stuff out. But the design of the pedal, you look at that, and that is iconic.
Yeah, that is a bit difficult because then it is, like you say, you then are almost, in a way, trading under someone else's image.
Yeah, you get into intellectual property.
Exactly.
Almost.
Exactly. Because then, like, part of the reason why people are going to buy that is because the aesthetics of it. But
it turned me onto it. When I showed you guys about it, I was look at this, it's 50 quid. Look at the enclosure. That was the excitement, that they'd gone to that effort.
Yeah.
It wasn't their sort of plasticky, almost Boss enclosure. I was like, it's 50 quid, and they've gone to the effort of doing that. And I mean, same with the Klon, when I stumbled across that, like, the effort in the enclosure, I think, really enticed me. I thought it was that's cool, that's special.
I'm going to show you how I think you do a clone.
Okay.
Lizzie, can you put number 12 on, please?
Yes.
This is the JHS, not a clone.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you built one? Have you done
No.
the thing, right?
No.
The thing.
No, I don't. Yeah. They haven't sent us anything for quite a long time.
What's your problem, Josh?
No. No, I'm not saying that at all.
Joking.
Not saying that, but I think that there are so many inventive steps here. This is tipping the hat to the Klon. You know, the thing that you build yourself, like a piece of IKEA furniture, is genius. But there's a switch on there that says, okay, you can have that circuit, but then there's this circuit that I think
is my little
that I think
my
sounds
thing.
really great. And I actually, most of the time when I play one of Josh's pedals, there's the JHS mod button.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I prefer the JHS mod button.
Yeah.
So what you like about Josh, he knows how to design a pedal.
Totally.
He really does. It's just the fact that he's a very clever businessman, marketing guy as well.
Yeah.
Along the lines of him in business, did you see the video he put out this week?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
I found that fascinating.
Yeah.
Basically, for if you guys haven't seen it, a different YouTuber put a video out in response to his
John Cordy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. To the Ross pedal stuff, and was discussing the numbers that Josh talks about, and was like, I think his video was called "Our Pedal Manufacturers Ripping Us Off," and Josh really elegantly goes through his video point by point and explains everything that goes into it, and I find it fascinating.
Yeah, and Jonathan's done an apology video.
Yeah, he has. I mean, the whole thing was very amicably.
Dan, you're
nice
making
resolve.
people very nervous with
Why?
that Klon
Yeah.
on your lap
get
and
away from your
the
crocs
drink spillage risk. And I'm sure.
Don't worry, guys.
Okay.
No
it's all
clones
good.
were harmed.
Scott Curry says, what about not a GigRig G3S? That's not a Klon. Okay, so
Well, I hate putting them together, so they can do it if they want. You do it if you want, Scott.
I thought that anyway. I thought that was a really clever way to do a thing. But then there
Definitely.
are still arguments to be made.
Yeah.
It's like
Because my argument will always be the people that are going to buy a £50 Behringer version.
yeah,
I'm not spending 1,500 quid on this.
They're not kind of the same market.
yeah,
So if it allows more people to use those sounds, then it's legitimate. But it's a really interesting point,
yep.
which I hadn't thought about. Of there has to be a creative thing there. That's a really interesting point.
I think So if we've done patents and that before. We've had a couple of patents, and one of the most important thing about a patent is having an inventive step.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. I'm just trying to think. There's a bunch of overdrives and stuff I've got on the wall up there that most people have never heard about. They've never had a champion, which are as good as anything ever. But when you go into the world of clones,
And straight up clones as well.
straight up clones, you are trading on someone else's creativity. The one thing that does me my head in even more than clones is trading on another artist's name.
Yeah.
So this pedal will make you sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan, or this pedal will make you sound like John Mayer.
Yeah.
That stuff, honestly, I find that really tricky. There was a video when I was ill. Mick did a video with Scott McKeon.
Yeah.
What a monster guitar player! Scott was the guy that called me when Robin Ford's board went down. So can you get down here and can you get because he was playing with Robin? So can you get down here and help us out? And I'm like, yes, I can.
No, who?
But he's such a beautiful guy. What a monster guitar player. So when I was off ill, Scott happened to be down, and Scott is a massive Stevie Ray Vaughan fan and has all of the gear. They just wheeled it in and turned everything on, and it's like, okay, that's how he does it. But unless you can play like Scott,
Well, exactly. That's the other half of it.
Totally.
so
Jeez.
it's all that stuff. But it's when you say get this and sound like this person, it's like I find that challenging. It's great. Like
Unless it's the Digitech Disturbed sing it to the pedal.
then you will sound like the dude from Disturbed. I agree with the sitar function on it.
Kevin the Just says, does anyone know what KTR stands for? E.g., Clon the Replacement.
What does it stand for?
No idea.
Kill the rich.
We've got quite a few questions.
Yes,
Would we
Lizzie, go for it.
I like Clon the
Sam?
Replacement.
Clone replacement's good.
Go on, move back.
So one that's been asked a couple of times, firstly by Brian Carpenter. Any thoughts on the teleport pedal by Michael Parmesan / Guitargate?
I don't
know it.
The teleport.
Okay, let's have a look. We've missed one.
By
Let's
who?
see.
Michael Parmesan? Sorry.
Michael
that's wrong.
Parmesan. I love Parmesan, so.
Do love Parmesan.
Let's see. What we'll have to do...
all I'm getting is not that.
It's the orange amp.
Maybe we could add that in next week.
Leave that with us. We'll have a look and we'll check that out for next week.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything like that, please, by all means, just put a comment in, because we read all the comments.
Even the mean ones.
Put a comment in and we'll... Simon V.
Even the
DJ
mean
says
ones.
the lads are scanning for life forms. Please wait. Okay.
So we had another one from somebody called Chill Switch. Hey guys,
Chill Switch. Sorry, Chill
That's
Switch
great.
is brilliant.
That's incredible.
Chill Switch.
Well done, good sir.
Hey guys, will you make a video walkthrough for the new G3 update?
We absolutely will.
We will do.
And the guy that I normally do that with, Simon, has been away because he's a very busy.
Can you do it
very
while
good
walking
person.
on a treadmill?
What's that go?
Okay, go.
Okay,
Music
go.
video. That's exactly what I was.
Love that.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Hang on. Beefy says that he teleport the world's first social guitar pedal. Okay, we will get into this. This is
Yeah,
it
I
here.
think we need to do our research before
There
we
you go.
talk on it.
No, yeah.
Well, it's got a screen. So
We'll have a
screens are
look.
Cool.
Oh, it's got so it's got
Social
drums
guitar
in it.
pedal.
Interesting. All
Can
right.
you check in on it
We
on
will-
Facebook?
Yeah. Okay.
Dan
We will check that out.
Nando.
So,
With an 8-string, apparently.
Yeah. You know,
Classic Dan
Dan.
with
Dan
the big
loves
string.
Jan.
We've got sorry, you were still talking about the
No, we were talking
walkthrough
absolute
video.
rubbish. Please.
We've got Paul Moore asking, can parallel in G3 sound better for a head and cab setup with 4-cable method for blending old and effects?
yeah. Absolutely. But again, depends on the effects loop, depends on what you're putting in parallel with it. You just need to make sure that G3 will happily do line level like all day long, but you need to make sure that the pedals will do line level. The signal coming out from the effects end of your amp, more often than not, is really hot. There are some effects loops, quite a lot of effects loops that will reduce the level and then so that more pedals can handle it, then pump the level back up. But all effects loops are not created equal. I mean, I'm saying amps effects loops. So, yes, it can, as long as the effects that you choose are happy to sit in the amp's effects loop. Now, sorry, burping.
He said he was fizzy. He wasn't lying.
What you need to do, the beautiful thing about having the parallel features in G3 is that you can layer your parallel effects in the loop, and being able to do the killjoy thing. That's right. Oh, it's just so powerful. But it's definitely worth, if you're used to, let's say you're used to playing in stereo, say a la Andy Timmons, and you've got your gain coming from your amplifier, and that goes in, and then stereo out to the effects loop returns on both amplifiers.
Yeah.
Being able to have those stereo effects in parallel, and then the direct sound to the outputs, and in that case, it would only be the direct sounds at output 2.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different ways to do it. But yeah, absolutely. Using effects loops and the parallel stuff is really, really ace. Remind me, I need to. David Friedman has emailed in. So one other thing that you can do is, it's got cold now.
It has. That's exactly what I was thinking.
But the other thing that you can do is that in the parallel times 4, the joining, the parallel joining of the effects doesn't have to be at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You can have it before loop 11, have loop 11 and 12 in stereo. So, because what they want to do is have the 4 parallel effects and then a stereo looper at the end.
Yeah, that's
Good
cool.
vibe.
That's cool.
Amazing. So anyway, yes, all that good stuff. Let's see who, if anyone's got any ideas on the clone thing. I mean, loads of people are chiming in on the clone thing. Man, what an amazing story that the clone has, and why so many people feel it engages with so many people.
Yeah,
the clone.
sure.
Because lots of people are talking about the clone, but the idea of clones and stuff is like, let's see. Yeah, it's
Any strong opinions?
not that I can see. Lizzie, any strong opinions on clones?
Not particularly strong. Everyone was sort of having a chat about it, but
Yeah.
no, I think it's
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, like, when we first started GigRig and the Pro 14 comes out, that thing,
The big boy.
it's fair to say that a bunch of other companies said, oh, like that, and we'll do our version of it.
Yeah.
And that, that's fine. I think as long as there are inventive steps. Okay, this is getting a little bit deep. We've only got a few minutes left, but when
there are quite a few questions.
okay,
Give us
an interesting
give it a moment of
sorry,
peace.
this is
Try to open up.
when the or what I thought this was really interesting when the Wright brothers did their first flight, right? There was another guy, and Simon Sinek tells this amazing story. There was another guy that was backed by the government and the military who was funded really well. Wright brothers had no funding.
Yeah.
They would go out to the field and then basically had bicycle parts, and they would try and crash, and they'd do everything they could until they ran out of parts and then go back and rebuild stuff. But there's another guy who was like funded, and this is going to be the guy that's going to prove flight's a thing. And as soon as the Wright brothers did their thing and they proved flight, this guy that could have said, that's an amazing achievement and I'm going to take what you've done and we'll push that forward. He didn't do that. He quit.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
So
That's
because
really
he wasn't in it.
Yeah.
He wasn't in it for the flying stuff. Now, why I say that is switching, I think for a lot of companies that took our idea at the start and said, okay, when they realized the complexity and the amount of support this takes, a lot of companies go, oh no, not into that. And which is the reason why I think we're still here 20 years, 20 years this year.
Yeah.
Because we
really
still love it.
point.
Yeah.
And we love helping people to get the most out of the gear. So it's
Totally.
everything, and we still love that.
Yeah.
And switching such a big part of that. But anyway, so I just wanted to
Quick
share that with
fire
you. Quick fire, Lizzie, go.
So the first was, looking at EQ pedals right now, do you guys think there's a sound quality difference between the Source Audio EQ and the Empress Para EQ Deluxe
Yes,
MK?
I've just been
100%.
doing literally that shootout this
Yeah.
week. It's the older Source Audio, but I've been playing with that, and you literally handed me the Para EQ today.
Yep.
I'm going to sound like Dan here, but
Can I? You say it. I just want to hear you say it.
on this occasion, Go all analog. Go for the Empress.
Yeah.
Top tier. Done.
Yeah.
Sound.
I've played with the Empress for about 4 minutes and I was completely blown away with it.
I played with it for about 20 seconds and I was like, yeah, done. Finished. Sorted.
Yeah.
Next question. Let's do this.
Okay.
Before he starts smiling too much.
Do you guys think running digital effects like a Fractal VP4 through a Wetterbox with the mix-up makes a meaningful difference in the playing experience?
So I'll answer this. For me, an analog direct signal is very important. And one thing that you can do with the Wetterbox and the Fractal, you can kill dry in the Wetterbox, or you can kill dry in the Fractal, and then you can blend in the dry signal, and you have your dry signal blend in the wet on top with the Wetterbox. What that means is you've got your analog dry signal and you don't have any latency, all the transients are there, it's all great, and then that wet signal gets blended on top. And something that I realized, there's analog dry through and there's analog dry through. Something I realized doing the parallel thing with the kill dry, the dry signals, the difference between splitting the signal and having the kill dry and then just having the wet effects, as opposed to going through two different delays and a reverb, even with analog dry through, is incredible.
It's interesting.
Because you're still going through, at least 6 different buffering stages by going through 3 pedals.
Yeah.
And getting rid of that is like, wow, it's so cool. So for some people will swear it doesn't matter. I might just be sensitive to this stuff. I am sensitive to this stuff. For me, it's very, very important to have an analog signal that, the dry part of the signal that gets through to the end. I even struggle with the latency in the Waza headphones. I think it's great, but I still, the great thing about that is you're enclosed, so you can't hear.
Yeah.
But
strings or whatever.
I still struggle with it.
My only point of it would be use your ears and try it.
Completely.
And if it works for you, then do it that way. If it doesn't work, do it the other way.
Okay.
Next question.
Ferocious Mr. Wolf has
Great name.
asked, what audio interface do you guys recommend for under 200 to 300?
Oh, that's difficult.
I think the Focusrite,
Focusrite's hard to beat.
Yeah.
they're sort of the industry standard for that, for bang for buck. I mean, doing sort of like music degrees and stuff, it was sort of the setup that everyone bought with their first student line.
Go to
They're great.
Focusrite's
Do you know where they're
website.
made?
No, they...
Well, they're
they-
made in
this-
China,
yeah.
but the company, the headquarters
I know
is
they're
in
like-
Oxford.
Oh, is it?
Near Oxford,
Right.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
down the road.
Focusrite. Next question. Let's do this.
We've got Basil Tiffany. What's the best sounding non-Dumble 212 cab you've ever heard?
Okay. The best sounding non-Dumble 2x12 cab
Oh, sorry.
Zilla.
is
Yeah, I like Mozilla.
this one. This Bruno 2x12 cab is hands down.
Dan, you're pronouncing Zilla wrong.
No.
It's Zilla.
Yeah, and Zilla cabs are
Z-I-L-L-A.
Bruno.
amazing. This cab, this Bruno cab,
We don't talk about
is
Bruno.
the best 2x12 cab I've ever heard.
Except Zilla 2x12.
Yeah, this is the one. Pine, just very resonant. Cabs make a difference. They resonate. They they go bing, and it's very important. The cab choice is very important. Ding. Yeah. So listen, we're getting down. Any final
One more.
questions?
We've got a couple. They're all quite big, so I'm just going to say if people would be able to email in support@thegigrig.com, and Jake and Joe can always give a helping hand.
Thank you so much.
Well, this is interesting. So Ferocious Mr. Wolf says cloning is pedal building. Most pedal builders start that way, then adapt. Absolutely. Think of the Thorpe mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
So when I knew Thorpe for ages. I knew him before Thorpe was a thing, and he used to build me clones. And because when he was in the military, and he would do it as a way to de-stress. And I said,
Sure.
and I'd had and he built me the best V1 OCD clone I've ever heard. Think about the Mushroom Cloud, and like electroharmonics fiercely defend anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Sorry. So we had to call it Fallout Cloud.
And I think there is a note to say how popular evidently that pedal is, because how many pedals out there have muff in the title,
That's
and they've
right.
not had a cease and
Yeah,
desist,
exactly,
and they've
exactly.
been doing that muff for 10 plus years.
That's
so for
right. But what's the inventive step? It's got this active EQ on
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
Yep.
that thing will go where many muffs just don't. It's a
And on that note,
it's a great, really cool thing. Listen, it's 5:00. We're going to go.
'Cause
We've had
of-
150 plus people hanging out with us today. It's really
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you,
So
everyone.
thanks, everyone.
that's so sick.
Hobo Roadie, you naughty little munchkin, you. He says, I have a walnut Bruno cab tone. Honestly, I'll have to spark that up again, and you guys have listened to it.
Yeah.
There is something about that cab that's great. So, yeah, listen, all our American friends, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I just want to say we are grateful for all of you. And,
that we are.
yeah,
Thank you much.
sending you all the love from the GigRig side of the pond. Any final words, questions, thoughts, Lizzie, from you?
No, just happy Thanksgiving.
What's your
to
favourite
all.
Thanksgiving?
2x12 cab?
There's just too many to pick from.
Great answer.
Still is the answer.
Very good. Brilliant.
Right.
Thank you, everyone. Any other questions, support@thegigrig.com, and we'll get you sorted out. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
On a Wednesday.
On Wednesday,
actually-
not Thursday.
actually- Are we still? Are we
We're still
there?
with it.
Okay. Let us know if you preferred Wednesday or Thursday. I kind of like Thursday.
Can't do next Thursday, though. It's our Christmas do, Daniel.
Isn't it? No, it isn't.
It is.
Yeah.
Then we'll see you next Wednesday. I like
Dan's
Wednesday
taking
again.
us to Bath Spa, aren't you, Dan?
I am.
Can't wait.
I am.
It's going to be good.
Brilliant.
Gonna wear a mankini.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Be good.
Bye.